time skip has been a banger, with major things like Shikamaru becoming the 8th Hokage, Code finally deciding to attack the village after 3 years, and Boruto returning to the village. Anyways, in this video, I'm going to summarise the events of the chapter before I share my thoughts and predictions of where I think the story will be moving forward. And lastly, stick around to the end of the video as I'm going to be discussing the last panel in the chapter, as I think there's a lot more going on there than you may think. So, we stop at the Hokage's office, where we see Sada waiting outside the office in a colorized panel before we get to trying to convince Shikamaru and Konohamaru that something is up, and that Boruto and Sasuke are not the people that should be going for. However, Shikamaru does not listen to her, saying that they have Ada's Senrika and Ayuna's testimony that they're guilty, and that even if he wanted to act otherwise, it was not his decision, as it was the will of the people of Konoha too for the order of Boruto's and Sasuke's death to be fulfilled. He was then seen saying, "So even if I left my order, people will stay unconvinced." Shikamaru then tells Sada to get back on her mission, and she returns an insult, calling him a blockhead. Then we learn something that I did not see coming in all honesty, which is Konohamaru stated that Shikamaru is now the 8th Hokage. I can't lie, I thought Kakashi would return as the Hokage, but I guess he didn't want to be the Hokage in the first place, so it does still make sense. The dude has earned his retirement, to be fair. We see Shikamaru is concerned for Sarada and her future as a shinobi, but she does not care what he has to say, and she returns a very, very tough line, which is, "My role model is the Lord 7th, not you." We then move on to see Kawaki entering the Daikokoten dimension, where we can see him standing on one of the cubes looking at Naruto and Hinata. So from this we can see that clearly over this period of time that the time skip has been, he's gone on to master Ishiki's Taijutsu to an even greater level than Ishiki was able to, because Ishiki was not able to do this. So I'm actually quite concerned for Boruto, well, depending on how strong he's become, his chance to get to Kawaki, because he's clearly progressed quite a lot, as we can see here. We then move on to Sumire and Sarada actually talking to each other, and we can see that Sarada is acknowledging the fact that she was quite harsh with Shikamaru because it was not his fault because of the omnipotence, suppressing his thoughts. And then we get to Sumire saying, "Due to the Ada's omnipotence, nobody even recognises that something isn't quite right. In fact, to them, we're the ones who are weird," which, yeah, that probably would be the case. They'll be seen as the weirdest because everyone else thinks differently to them. And that she continues saying that to them, Kawaki has always been the 7th Hokage's son. Uzumaki Kawaki. That's a simple truth. And Sada then ends it saying, "And Boruto is a rebellious outsider, an ungrateful traitor," where Sumire then seems to look sad because the situation is quite peak, because how did they get out of this? Because this is quite the mess that they're in at the moment. We then move on to Sada explaining how the omnipotence has affected everybody since this time time skip has gone on, saying that early on everyone still sensed some of the paradox. Like, how could Kara have modified Kawaki's body if he had been born and raised in the village, which is a good point. And what happened to Momoshiki? Even Master Shikamaru hounded Kawaki about that. So it seems that Kawaki was questioned about the discrepancies between their memories of him, or quote-unquote memories of him, and what he actually is. And that would make sense, especially with someone like Shikamaru who's smart, because it would have added up, but I guess the Shinjutsu works by like suppressing those thoughts over time, so eventually they just couldn't think otherwise or something like that. Which is also very, very interesting, because it seems that Sarada convincing Sasuke to follow Boruto was done at the perfect time, because maybe even a day later, 2 days, a week later, Sasuke might not have even listened to her at that point. So it's good that she got him to follow Boruto straight away. Sarada also says, "But that slight unease also slowly dissipated over time, thanks to the omnipotence, so that now no one has any doubts left." And then Sumire is looking concerned, as you can see in the next panel. And then Sarada continues saying, "How are we supposed to counter such a ridiculous ability?" Which is a good point. But if I was to hazard a guess, I would believe that it was something related to her Mangekyo Sharingan. I don't think it would save everybody, because that kind of takes away from the Shinjutsu aspect of it, but I think it could save some people that will be important in helping Boruto. And then we move on to Ada and Damon meeting Sarada and Sumire, with Damon saying, "You still ain't given up. It's an unwinnable game, you know." And then Ada says, "I have no control over omnipotence, just like my ability to charm. Though recently, we started to understand how it works." And then Sarada says, "How could I give up? Any new information?" And then Ada just explains what we were able to work out beforehand, that it's a Shinjutsu that makes one's desires real, and that everybody's memories are changed. So basically just repeating what we already know. But then we get to the more important aspect of this discussion that they have. Sarada says, "Is there a way to reverse it?" And then Ada says that, "I don't know. But it's no use talking to those who are affected by the omnipotence, because they will never understand. which is true. Just like I had this discussion with Shikamaru earlier, that Shikamaru probably thought that she was maybe a bit crazy because everyone's memories have been changed, so it's only her and Sumire that think otherwise, so they're seen as the weird ones. So Ada throws out the possibility, the suggestion, that maybe it'll be more practical just to rewrite different memories. But as she rightly points out, there's also a risk in that too. And yeah, I don't think it'd be a good idea to rewrite people's memories, because it'll probably result in more confusion, because you probably aren't going to be able to rewrite it perfectly, especially the fact that they're not Otsutsuki's. But I guess we'll see where they'll take that. And then Ada asks Sumire and Sawada, how have the two of you managed to retain your memories when you're not Otsutsuki? And then they start to look a bit shook, as you can see, and they're just there staring at her. So Ada says, both omnipresence and charm have no effect on Otsutsuki. They also don't work with family members like Damon, but the two of you are neither. So how are you able to retain your true memories? Or more importantly, are you sure that you both really my captives? And yet again, they're looking even more shook in these next two panels. And then Sumire is remembering that Shikamaru, before the omnipotent, says that make sure that you're not found out, that you're not affected by the charm or Ada's charm ability, especially by David, because if Damon finds out, he could just one-shot them, and it's tragic. They can't do anything about it. It carries on with Sumire's memories, with Shikamaru saying, if our charm doesn't work on you, it means that it's possible for you to kill Ada. So do you get what I'm saying? Your life could be in danger. But at the same time, I think Ada would be thrilled to find out that she actually had genuine friends. So there's a possibility that they could have messed up here, that it would be better to tell her the truth, that they weren't affected. But then at the same time, there's a risk of getting one-shotted. So it would have been 50-50. But I do think that they should have considered telling Ada the truth, because I do feel like she would want to have genuine friends. Or who knows. And then Sumire starts to cover up for the both of them, saying, oh please, we've told you over and over. Sawada and I were just putting up a front to hide our feelings. I mean, come on, no one can escape being charmed by you, right? And it seems that Ada is buying this excuse of Sumire, to be fair, saying that it's true, and that's what she believes. And then Sawada and Sumire is still looking shook, and Damon's just there staring at them. We then move on to Kawaki, looking over the village. And as you can see, Mitsuki is standing behind him, with Kawaki then saying, cool your bloodthirst, Mitsuki. It is totally suffocating. And then Kawaki says, I'm sure Boruto still wants to kill you, and he's Otsutsuki, just like you. So it's quite possible that he's mastered the ability to erase his chakra signature. And then Kawaki reassures him that if he comes here, he'll feel it right away, so he can't evade him. And then Mitsuki says that I want to protect you. I will kill him, I swear of it. And then Kawaki clearly doesn't care, and he says, sure, just do as you please. Just quit following me around like some sick perv. It's annoying. I mean, yeah, even when it was Boruto, not Kawaki in this case, it was quite creepy, the way Mitsuki was obsessed with Boruto, in a sense. So yeah, I guess you can see that Kawaki gets sick of it, and yeah, it seems to have thread of Mitsuki here as well. And then Kawaki is called by the search squad that they found some more of Code's claw marks outside the wall. So he asks where, they tell him where, and then we can see here that Kawaki has now mastered the ability to fly, just like Ishiki and other Otsutsuki. Which means that, yes, he's clearly mastered his abilities a lot more during the time skip than what they were beforehand. And he goes and flies over there. And then Mitsuki says, you're the sun, shining brightly upon my moon, aren't you, Kawaki? So, I guess Mitsuki is kind of questioning whether he is, but he can't really question it because of the omnipotent suppressing his thought. Then, we move on to Himawari, actually, of all people. Moving on to training with Chocho. And as you can see in these panels, she's actually faring quite well, actually. Shikadai then says, your moves are exceptionally sharp. You are Kawaki's little sister, alright? And then we can see Inogen next to him as well. And I have to say, Himawari's design is really good. Shikadai's design is really good. Inogen, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about Inogen. And Chocho's design is also alright, to be fair. It's not too bad. So then, Inogen asks Himawari, why do you want to get so strong? And Himawari replies that, it's not that I want to get strong. It's just that I feel like everyone in Konoha would yell at me for saying this, but she wants to help Boruto. And then Shikadai's like, what? Do you really mean that? Because that isn't funny. And then Himawari replies, I'm sorry, I know it's kind of wacky, but how do I put it? What everyone says about him is totally different from what I remember of him. And then Shikadai then tries to what he believes is the truth. Tries to remind Himawari that he killed your dad, remember? And Himawari replies, I don't think he did. I mean, I saw with my own eyes, him risking his life to protect my dad and me. Such a person wouldn't kill my dad. And there has to be some explanation, and if that's the case, boss is going to be in deep trouble. And then she says, besides, I have this feeling that my dad is still alive somewhere. I notice how she says feeling and not that she thinks or believes. She's just feeling that. I said she can sense that dad is still alive. Just like Sasuke is able to sense that, sense other people's chakra through dimensions as well when he acquired the Rinnegan. With one of the feats being where he was able to sense where Naruto was in a different dimension. So I have a feeling that this is part of the power that Damon alluded to before the Taisuke that Himawari had within her. We then move on to Kawaki shrinking one of Ko's claw marks, and then one of the Shinobis there says, "Good, that's the last of the claw marks around here. Thanks, Kawaki." And then he raises the question, "Wait, I don't get it. Why come so near frequently with Code, but not attack, especially when he's got several thousand soldiers? He has an especially strong grudge against Boruto, right? Maybe he's prioritising that battle over Konoha," which is a good point, yeah. And he says that it would be great if they just took each other out. And then Kawaki then grabs onto one of their Shinobis, and then he identifies a claw mark on the back of him, so he shrinks that as well for him. So yeah, this raises the possibility of how many Shinobis have claw marks on their back, since this Shinobi clearly had one on his back and he had no idea, so do the rest of them have no idea as well? And then Shikamaru is then saying, "What, are there others?" And then Kawaki replies, "We're going to look into that now. Tell everyone that has been on claw mark search duty to gather in one place, and then I'll shrink anyone that we find one by one." And then, as we can see, with one of the Shinobis as holding their neck, in the next panels, we can see that one of Ko's claw grimes have appeared out of the claw mark in his neck. And yet, now the village is throwing a high alert, with the sensory team saying then, "Unknown chakra has been detected. Who the heck is this guy?" And then you can see a claw grime attack one of the Shinobis, set them flying. And then it seems to be the case now that Code is launching his attack actually, because they're attacking from everywhere. And they're coming out from everywhere. And then Shikamaru is here saying that they should evacuate all the non-combatants from the village. And that he's raising the question, or thinking to himself, why attack now after all of this time code? Which is a good point, because if it's been how many number of years, why has he chosen to attack after all of this time? I'm a bit confused by why now of all times he's chosen to attack. But let's see what the rest of the chapter is saying first. And one thing that I found really interesting is that the claw grimes are able to travel from different locations through each other, actually, which is quite interesting. Which means that, depending on the scenario, they could travel to one spot to another spot really quickly, and there's nothing you can really do to stop it. Yeah, and then Sarah's here looking concerned, saying, yeah, they could use each other as like claw marks, travel between locations. And then, surprise, surprise, our buddy Code appears at one of the claw grimes in front of Sarada. Sarada then asks, "What do you want to do with Konoha?" With Code replying, "I'm looking for Boruto." Sarada says, "He's in here. He left 3 years ago." And Code says that, "I know. I've been chasing after him for almost 2 years now, and I'm tired." We've now got a lot from these statements, with that one being that the time skip has been 3 years, which is Sarada's statement, and that Code has been chasing Boruto for 2 years, which means that 2 years ago, so a year after him leaving the village, he encountered Code. And I just noticed that Code's got a scar on his left eye. So that raises the question, how did he get that scar? It could have only been from one of two people, Sasuke or Boruto. So maybe that's what he's talking about when he's been chasing them for almost 2 years, that he ran into them a year into their hiding. And that it was either Boruto or Sasuke that's why he done that damage onto him. So Sarada continues saying, "I told you, he's not here. Go look somewhere else." Code replies, "Let me rephrase, I wasn't clear. I decided to stop looking, and that's why I came here. I thought I'd have his former friends, to whom he still cares about, summon him." And then he says, "Starting with you, I hope he can scream real pretty so that it will reach him." So yeah, that's a bit weird. This guy's a bit of a weirdo. I have to be honest with you. He's a bit weird. What the hell? Then I remember reading this the first time. I was shocked. This was stunning. As we can see here, Boruto comes and stomps on Code's face. Like he's using it as like a doormat or something. And then Boruto then says, "It's that kind of sick thinking that creeps girls out." With Sarada looking shocked as well. And I have to remember, this is No Limit's Code. Boruto is stomping on No Limit's Code, who's said to be stronger than Jigen. So this raises the question, how strong now has Boruto become? And as we can see here, Boruto is dodging Code's attacks. And then Kawaki, as you can see by the eyes, he looks shook. Like he looks concerned, like, what the hell, Boruto's here? Like, he did not expect Boruto to come back. The sensory team then says the chocolate data matches. It's Boruto. It looks like he's infiltrated suddenly from the sky, right above Ko's position. And then Shikamaru looks shook, he's like, what? And then Sumire is also shocked, he's like, Boruto? Like, no expected Boruto to come back. Not Kawaki, not Shikamaru, not Sumire, not Sarada, not the sensory team. And I guess this was Ko's plan to lure Boruto out of hiding by attacking the village, because Boruto obviously cares about the village as well. Then we get to a panel of Boruto standing in front of Sarada with a very blank expression on his face, not saying a word. And like we were told from the beginning of the story, he will lose his smile. And it seems that now he has lost his smile. And let me just say, Boruto's outfit as well is so tough. I mean, he's got a cloak and he's got a sword similar to Sasuke, so that raises the question, what's happened to Sasuke? Because we haven't seen Sasuke yet, we haven't heard about Sasuke yet, and he's wearing apparel that's similar to Sasuke, if not Sasuke's apparel itself. Though I like other people, I don't think it's Sasuke's cloak. I feel like it's his own cloak, but he's trying to mimic Sasuke, but you still have to ask the question, where is Sasuke and what's happened to him? And then Kurai's there staring at Boruto, and then Kawaki is also staring at Boruto saying, you've finally shown yourself, Boruto. This panel, there's a lot more going on here, I believe, because as we know, Boruto was going to lose his smile from the start of the story, and it appears that he has lost his smile. And also, I feel like there's more going on here, because I feel like Momoshiki and Boruto have now become the same person. We knew from before the time skip in part 1 of Boruto that Momoshiki and Boruto were merging together more and more by the day. And I feel like at this point in the story, they have become one. I feel like this is not the same Boruto that we left in part 1. Something has happened between Code and Boruto for sure. I don't know what's happened. I don't know when it's happened specifically. None of us know when it's happened specifically. We can only theorize, we can only guess and predict. And yeah, it's a bit of a shame that we haven't been able to see this before the time skip. I feel like him becoming 100% Otsutsuki and him merging up with Momoshiki and being with Momoshiki for such a long time, and probably been in isolation for a long period of time of it. It means that he's become less and less human-like by the day. It seems like he actually lost everything at this point, or he's at least close to losing everything at this point, and that the fate that he thought he was going to defy, that Momoshiki had told him, it seems like he's currently on the losing end of that battle. So yeah, so as I was saying, I feel like Momoshiki and Boruto at this point are now become more or less one. They're one person at this point, which is kind of sad to see in a sense, but also going to introduce a really interesting dynamic between the two of them. Because as you can see here, it still seems like Boruto is still in control and that he's not completely falling into despair like Momoshiki said he would. But we don't know what could happen later. He might still fall into despair. And one more thing before I close this video, I want to also throw in a possibility that because this chapter parallels Ishiki's attack on Konoha, with Kawaki floating and flying above the village and looking down in the same demeanour and manner that Ishiki did, and so on and so forth. I'm thinking possibility that as he had found out that Sasuke's sword when he threw it at Ishiki was actually Boruto in disguise, is maybe Boruto's sword that he's holding Sasuke in disguise. I personally don't think that this is the case, but because of all the parallels that there are with Ishiki's attack on the village, I still want to throw out that possibility. Maybe that is Sasuke in that sword, or maybe something else has happened to Sasuke that we don't know of, that he's not able to fight, or maybe he's even been killed by Code or something. So yeah, we don't know, but I just throw out that possibility out there. And if you've enjoyed watching this video, please leave a like, subscribe. I've got more content coming up. Thank you for watching once again, and I'll see you in a bit.